Okay, in this video we will see how to make this particular chair or something that looks pretty similar. Okay, let's start. Everything starts from a line and second. And what we have to do here is basically this. We have to start from a line. I will just make a line with Shift key pressed so that is perfectly straight. Then I go to vertex, select these, and I use fillet, and I fillet this thing. What I have to do now is I want this final result to be just my line and the arc. So I will select this vertex and I will delete it. Then I go to spline, I use outline, select this, and I make it basically offset, like this. What I have to do is I have to make another shape like this one, that is basically another shape that has this perfectly matching side. So what I will do then is I make shift and move. I make a copy, not an instance, and I select this time segments, and I delete these segments so that this, if you see, perfectly matches this side. But even here I will use outline. I will just make it a little bit thinner, so more or less like this. Perfect. Now yes, now I will really use snap to move this object here. Basically in both shapes I will repeat twice same exact steps. That are, I will use affect the pivot, and for both I will move the pivot in this point here. This is why, because in this chair, let me make a very small description of this chair. If you notice, in this chair, this part is round. This part is straight from here to here. Also, what we can see in this chair is that it has two symmetry axes. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to make just this part of the chair, and then I will mirror it once like this. Then I will select both and I will mirror it down here to make my final 3D model, just to have an idea of why I'm doing certain steps. So in order, I will draw these editable splines. Then I will move the pivot point. Then in both, I will repeat same steps, like I apply first lathe. And I need just to make a quarter of the chair, so I will use 90 degrees as value, and I will repeat again same step in my second shape. So I apply lathe 90 degrees. Perfect. Then select one of them, and I have to apply edit poly, because I have to make a small additional extrusion just to make this round edge here. This must be very small. I have also to make a bigger extrude in here, simply because in here this part is more flat. I will first make one part and then I will repeat same steps on the second. So step 1 is using lathe. Then I use edit poly and I select this polygon here and I use extrude and I just extrude a little bit, let's say 4. Why not? Once that I've done this, I select these lower polygons and I extrude them a lot more, 40. There is also a number that is easy to be remembered. Perfect. Now I have to make round edges, so I have to go to edge selection. I have to select all these. Oops, sorry. I said extrude 40. Okay. Now I have to select edges and I have to select all these edges and I have to apply chamfer to make them round. Perfect. We are almost there. Oops, this is wrong. So I select this one. Okay, let's go to this side. There are several segments here to select. Take your time. I have for sure selected segments that I shouldn't, so I will check in a second in all different point of views if I have unwanted selected edges like this one. So I press Alt left click to deselect while I was pressing Control left click to add selection. Let's see what happens if I click settings next to chamfer. Everything looks fine. Here not. So I click cancel and I discover that I haven't selected a vertex. So chamfer again. Here everything looks fine. Here everything works fine. So I just need to increase maybe a little bit. Let's say 3. Perfect. Make more edges, more segments because I want to make it round. 4 may be enough. So these are steps that I had to do. What I will do now is I will simply repeat exactly same steps on my second shape. So just to review them, they are: first I apply lathe and I apply lathe with 90 degrees. Then I apply edit poly and I apply extrude. So what I've done was I have first selected this polygon and I have extruded this polygon 4 centimeters, or technically I've used my eyes, I just remember number 4. I have also selected this polygon and this is the one that I've extruded 40. Okay, but I have also, sorry, just go back. I have to select this tiny piece. So I click extrude now, click 40, boom. Even here now, I have to select all my edges that I want to turn into rounded corners. So again, with a little bit of extra patience, what I will do is I will select all edges because this part hides inner face of my object. What I will do is from my Scene Explorer I can also hide for now that part that I will show, that I will reveal in a second once that I finish chamfering all my edges. So remember, when I select edges, I have to click with the left button while I'm holding Control key on the keyboard. And if I make a mistake and I want to deselect elements, I have to press Alt, left click. We have almost done. Let's see. We need a few more here. Then we have to make a cross check in order to see how many unwanted edges we have selected, like these. So Alt click. Here, Alt click. Ooh, how many here? Alt click. Alt click. Alt click even here. This should be fine. Let's see by applying chamfer. If we see weird behaviors and we have wrong selected edges, we will see this immediately. We can see here we forgot some of them. So Control click, chamfer, perfect. So we have used, that I don't remember if it was 3 or 4. Probably 3 or probably 4. No, 3, because this is thinner. But then we have to use 4 edges, and we have also here our rounded, beautiful edges. So I can close Edit Poly and I can reveal this part. Now, fun steps there are. I have to select these 2 elements. I have to make a group. And I have to move the pivot of my group where I want symmetry axis to be. So I open the snap, I move it somewhere first, so that I place myself in a better position in order to attach these exactly in this vertex. So here, so that matches where I need the vertical mirroring axis. And now I can use mirror, but I don't have to transform it. I have to make an instance so that I have both. Voila. I have almost done. Select both groups. Make another group. Now I will move the pivot of this group and I will just place it here for now, but I have to place it so that it matches this lower face. So let's say here. Perfect. Can you see? This axis is called Y. So I click mirror instance, but this time I change the axis to Y. So by using 2 times mirror, I have obtained this phenomenal shape. I will make last group, that it will be the overall group, that I will call chair. And now I can move on and I can continue doing other pieces. What I will do now is simply I will use angle snap to rotate it 90 degrees. Great. And I have this beautiful chair. Maybe it's a little bit tall, so I can apply to the group, I can apply edit poly because I don't want to stretch it because the stretch will also change top curve. I will select all these top vertices and I will move them a little bit down, select these and move them a little bit up. So that more or less, I would say, it matches these proportions. Now, let's move on to legs, and these are very simple. What I will do is I will start from a rectangle that is very thin, and I will convert it to editable spline. I will then select two vertices from one side, and I will use fillet. And now, like I did for the chair, I move the pivot with the snap to this point, and I will use lathe so that I will make legs of this chair. Look. But this time it has to be 360. Fantastic, isn't it? And now I can rotate this 90 degrees to make it vertical. Now I have to place this leg without any snap where it looks like it is placed. That should be more or less here. Let me see the picture. Okay, so it is just more or less where the curve starts. So, not that wrong. It is here. And the other leg, maybe a little bit more into the front. This other leg looks like it is here. So a little bit behind, but also a little bit inside, so that it follows the curve. Now I will make a group. If you want to know, yes, you should be more precise. You should move the pivot point if you want. If not, be lazy. But if you want to be precise, you move the pivot of this group this time and you place it in the center of the chair. That should be any vertex in the middle. Doesn't matter which one, just one in the middle. And now, with this group selected, I use mirror. I have to mirror on my left, so it is X. Instance. Perfect. And I have my 4 legs. And I have almost done, because what I will do now is I have to use a very basic technique to make this structure. To make it, I will simply use editable splines, or in general shapes, I will say. And I will use that particular aspect that is, you can use enabling render and enabling viewport. So what I will do is simply, I will go by pressing Alt W into the top view, and I press Alt W again to maximize the viewport, even without any snap, to be a little bit fast. I would draw circles like this. They are correct enough, and then I will shift and move. I could do this before even, just forgot, it's okay. I make an instance here, and I just center to the leg. Make another instance on this leg on the back, more or less into the center. Shift and move. Last one here, and again, it's fantastic. Perfect. What I will do now is I will use line, and I make a line from here, shift key press to make it straight till there. Another line from here, shift to make it straight. Another one here, shift to make it straight. And I think there is another one in here. And we have almost done. Now with Alt W, I minimize the top, select perspective, Alt W, maximize perspective. And my lines are here. So there is this one, and so on and so on. So in order to work more precisely, I select the entire chair and I move it so that feet are touching the ground here. And I have all those beautiful splines. See what I will do. Select this circle, go to the Modify tab, and I will select Rendering. And into my rendering menu, I will click Enabling Render, Enabling Viewport. At the beginning, my circles will look like donuts because thickness is radial, while I will change thickness to rectangular. And I will make it a little bit thin. But again, I will use values that I can remember. So let's say 10 and 2. Then I select these lines, and I will do the same thing. So, enabling render, enabling viewport, rectangular, and again, I will use 10 and 2. Perfect. Then repeat here, rectangular, 10 and 2. Here, rectangular, 10 and 2. But I must select enabling render, enabling viewport, and last one will be this. Enabling render, enabling viewport, rectangular thickness, 10 and 2. Fantastic. Now look. Select circle on the back, line on the back, circle on the back, and I move these elements up till they touch the chair, like this. Do the same with these. Move them up till they touch the chair, and then simply select these. Control these, shift and move, and make another copy. Because you can see there is on the back there are more pieces. And look at that. What a magnificent thing. I need just to make the pillow. The pillow I will make with a very basic technique. That is, I start from a box. Like this. I will start making this box with enough segments, even if I can add them later. But I will make this box with this amount of segments, and then I will apply Edit Poly to start modeling my box. Because to make the pillow, I will just use a very basic technique of using Edit Poly and Turbo Smooth. So what I have to do is I have to see if this box matches shape of my chair. So I will move it here. By using my eyes, I will place it into the center. And then, by using vertices, I will start by selecting all these vertices, and I will move them up. I select all these, control all these. I will move them up as well. Then, probably this box is a little bit too large, so I select all of these, all of those. And if you don't see what you are doing, remember, you can always start by hiding elements. Okay? So I will use just one element as a reference. So I will click Scale, then select these, and I scale these, and I scale. Phenomenal. These, and I will move. Okay, this, and I scale them. Perfect. Maybe because this is a pillow, I can move these polygons a little bit up. And then I have to select again all outer edges in order to avoid making this corner too rounded. This is a clear example where I need to hide also these parts so that I can understand what I'm selecting. Perfect. Probably this not. No. Okay, because this I want a beautiful curve. I apply chamfer. Okay. Here I've forgot this one. Looks pretty fantastic. And now I have to apply Turbo Smooth. Iterations is 3. And if I select all my objects and I show them, I will see my beautiful pillow appearing. To make this is for the seat. To make the back, I will simply use Shift and rotate. And because laziness is the key, this is more than enough, and you will make the back of your chair. Okay? These are tools to be used to make this particular chair. So it is lathe, it is editable spline, edit poly, and nothing more. If I remove edged faces just to see it better, this is how my chair looks like at the end. You will find the link into the description if you want to download this particular file just to watch it, understand all these pieces, and try to watch these videos multiple times, slow it down, pause it, and let's see if you will be able to do it. Perfect. And see you next example. Bye.